Is it okay to have fruit on a keto diet? Fruit's good for you, right? So what's the big deal? Well, we're going to look into all the juicy facts around fruit and keto in this video.
All right, Maddie is joining us on this video because I am bribing her with chicken scraps. Because everybody wants to see Maddie.
I might be like leaning over there for a chicken scrap too.
Yeah. So, but we're talking about fruit, not chicken scraps in this video. And you know, fruit has many health benefits for certain. It has vitamins, it has antioxidants. There's good fiber content in some fruits. Berries come to mind, particularly blackberries and raspberries. And it's nature's candy, right?
Right. So that's kind of that's the one we got to like really look into. Nature's candy, right? Fruit's sweet, right? And that's because it's got a lot of fructose, or what we call fruit sugar. And fructose is very interesting. It's very similar in molecular form to glucose. Mm-hmm. And in fact, most fruit has both glucose and fructose in it. But the way your body handles that is very different. Glucose can be absorbed into the bloodstream. Fructose has to go to the liver to be converted. And it's either converted into some glucose or it's converted into fat for storage. Mm-hmm. Fructose also doesn't seem to have the insulin effect either. And in fact, back in my 20s when I was a bodybuilder, it was not uncommon to see guys at the gym with a little plastic bear full of honey, just taking a swig of that every now and then, because everybody knew that it didn't raise your insulin. Now, we never tested our gluten. We have no idea. Who knows, right? But
right.
Having a little bit of honey to swig on was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, well, and they were right in the sense that it doesn't have the direct insulin increase that we would get with table sugar. Same with agave nectar, which the agave nectar, honey, these are very, very concentrated in fructose, but they're not going to raise your insulin. Well, that has to do with what Keith said about how these molecules might look a lot very similar to our eyes, but to our body they are very different. So glucose is going to take more of a straight shot into your bloodstream, and fructose has to take a sidestep over to your liver. Some of it can get converted into glucose, but obviously that's a much slower process, so you're not going to have the insulin spike. And we'll circle back around to insulin.
Right. So the other part of that.
So the excess fructose is most likely going to be converted to fat. Is that where you were going?
That's where I was going. Yep. So look, when, a million years ago when we were hunter-gatherers, I don't know, is that true? A million years ago?
A million years ago? I have no idea who was around a million years ago.
It was a long time ago. When we were hunter-gatherers, a little bit of extra fat was a good thing. That was good for survival, in the winter and the lean months when you couldn't have fruit and things around. Mm-hmm. So you could kind of, you think about bears.
I was just,
Right?
We're sympathetic on honey.
Bears, yeah. They eat a lot of fruits. They get fat, and then they can hibernate and just use all that fat over the winter time. So the problem, though, is that humans consume an enormous amount of fructose, an unnatural form of fructose called high fructose corn syrup. And high fructose corn syrup is just pervasive in everything, from soda to ketchup to salad dressing. And it's been kind of targeted as a prime suspect in a disease called NAFLD, or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that is actually because it is in soda. If you turn a regular soda over, it's probably says carbonated water and high fructose corn syrup. And you think about kids today who just, guzzle down soda. In fact, you bring up NAFLD or fatty liver disease, very prevalent now in young children, and soda is one of the culprits. But even if you are not a soda drinker, it is such a sneaky ingredient. Salad dressings can have the first ingredient be high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah. Think about that. I mean, why get all the other ingredients? Just pour some honey on your, it's like, it just doesn't sound very good. So with NAFLD, what's happening is this really concentrated fructose is being converted mostly into fat, and the liver is so overwhelmed with that it can't shuttle all that fat out into the body for storage. It's actually being stored right in the liver. Your liver is getting fat, and that is over time going to really interfere with the way it can function.
So kind of the thing is with fructose from fruit, if you haven't overdone your system with high fructose corn syrup, a piece of fruit here and there is not going to be the worst thing that you can have if you have a good metabolism. The challenge there is that we have created a lot of metabolic damage for ourselves, and it's it's not blaming us. We've all done it. We all went through our years where we were not eating healthy diet. We were eating a lot of processed foods and things that were high in fructose, and that has created problems though now that give us trouble losing weight, namely insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome.
Right. So here we come around to the insulin part of the thing that we've got to talk about. So fructose doesn't really cause an increase in insulin. And that's a good thing, right? The problem is that if you are a little metabolically damaged and you're eating some fruit, the glucose part of that fruit is going to raise your blood sugar. If you're insulin resistant, it's going to continue to raise your insulin, because your cells are resistant to getting that glucose in there. In the meantime, the other part of that, the other half of that molecule, the fructose, is getting converted into fat. You've got fat now being processed in your body, and you've got high insulin. It's just automatically going to get stored.
Mm-hmm. The takeaway is if you are on a ketogenic diet, you really do have to watch the fruits that you consume, even on a low carb diet. There are some lower carb fruits available. Berries will be lower in carbohydrates. Strawberries are relatively low in carbohydrates. Blackberries and raspberries have a good fiber to carb ratio, so they can get in the mix for you if you have a good metabolism. Lemons and limes are fine to squirt into your tea or whatnot. And if you have a pretty decent metabolism, you might want to be able to experiment with how your body reacts to cantaloupe, honeydew melon, grapefruit is in that mix. Also, peaches are surprisingly low in sugar, have a good fiber to carb ratio. So you might be able to handle those if you have a good metabolism.
Or you might not. If you're anything like me, I just can't really have much fruit of any kind on my ketogenic diet. That's okay though, because I'm getting non-starchy vegetables and leafy greens. I'm getting all the antioxidants and micronutrients that I need to be healthy. So, if you're like me, you just kind of got to suck it up.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you have to suck it up. We have a list of 100 low-carb foods. I put some fruits on there as well. So if you want to know what fruits have a possibility for you, you can download that, and we'll point you to that before you go. So,
fair enough.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe and join us here on YouTube, and we will see you in the next video.
We'll see you.